Now, this true crime story is very, very difficult for me, honestly. I had to struggle to get myself together to cover this story because it's so gruesome. I've done over 200 stories, but this one tops it all because it involves a situation where a sadist of a nurse is able to actually take the lives of newly born babies. And officially, she has become Britain's most prolific child serial killer in these recent times. This is the true crime story of Lucy Letby, who has currently been sentenced to life without parole for the rest of her life for taking the lives of about seven newly born babies at the hospital where she worked as a nurse. And also, even though she failed to take the lives of an additional six newly born babies, she ended up leaving them with severe complications, which requires that they are always under intensive care. This story is one that sent shivers down my spine and angered my spirit. Here are the details. Lucy Letby. She epitomizes the statement that sometimes evil has a beautiful face. And if you look at this face, if looks are anything to go by, you would never ever suspect that she will be capable of doing what she has been found guilty of doing. It all started in 2015 when Lucy was employed as a nurse in one of the hospitals in Britain. I will not mention the name of the hospital. So she was working there as normal as any other nurse you would see at any hospital. But then it turns out that she was in her own world. Lucy was a sadist. If you don't know who a sadist is somebody who has this innate, inbred, deep seated sadness about herself or him or herself and anything about her space and the world as a whole. Sadists are typically so evil, or let me say, typically so down, sad, mostly a bit withdrawn, and do not believe that they deserve anything good in life. In the extreme form of it, they could sometimes take this out on other people when they see them being happy. And in a twisted way, I'm no expert, but I'm suspecting that that was what was playing out here with Lucy Letby when she saw the glow and the innocence of these babies. Because after all, even if you have an edge to take a life in as much as it's wrong, why target a newly born baby who is so defenseless and so full of life, radiance, innocence, and signifies a new beginning and a chance at something beautiful? Why would you want to snuff that out? I just don't get it. Like I said, this is a case that was very difficult for me to put together because it involves newly born babies. These are defenseless blessings. And for you to do this to their parents, I just don't get it as to how she's able to sleep at night. And you could see that she was fighting herself because she had a handwritten note stuck in her diary at home. And unknown to her, she was actually under investigation and the police found this. And this 33-year-old nurse, Lucy Letby, had written very disturbing messages on this note. Some read, I quote, I'm evil. I did this. There are no words. I'm an awful person. I pay every day for that. I can't breathe. I can't focus. Kill myself right now. Overwhelming fear or panic. I'll never have children or marry. I'll never know what it's like to have a family. No hope. End of quote. So if she's writing this, you begin to have an idea what her trend of thoughts are. For me, when I saw this, as I went through the research, I realized that she had deep seated sadness. I'm not sure why she has this. It hasn't been documented why officially, but she seemed so sad. But it's also really surprising how she's able to put up an appearance that does not give away what she's actually feeling inside. Because if you look at her pictures out there, you'll see she puts on a smile. And I've talked about this in some of my previous videos about how some people can fake it for it to look real, such that you think everybody is excited. But some of the smiles are perfectly crafted plastic smiles meant to deceive people. And I believe Lucy Letby had perfected hers as well. So she puts on this smile and she blends in. And she was working at the neonatal ward in the hospital where newly born babies are. This is a position of trust. She was actually occupying a position in the hospital where she's been entrusted with the lives and the well being of these newly born babies. And it ends up that she is actually the one snuffing the life out of them. To the extent she has actually weaponized things that she should use to care for these kids. I just don't understand it. I just don't understand it. For her to be able to do this to defenseless little children and end up taking the lives of these babies and ruining the lives of others. A total of 13 babies suffered at the hands of this seemingly caring nurse who was amongst other nurses meant to do good and save lives, but she was actually taking lives with innocuous substances like air, milk, and fluids. Things that are supposed to be used to take care of the children. She weaponized them, even including medication like insulin. And she perverted her learning and weaponized her craft to inflict damage on these defenseless little babies. And by so doing, also pass on grief to the families. Imagine the challenges some people have to go through, some couples have to go through just to conceive, not to talk of go through labor for 9 months and give birth, confident that the hospital is going to take care of your baby till you are ready to leave the hospital, only to have the same person who has been entrusted with the care of your baby be the one to snuff the life out of it. I just don't get it. And to an extent, I think that it should have been picked up sooner. The hospital did well by picking it up a couple of years later, but I think by then the damage had been done because one life lost is just too many. Not to talk of about 7 lives lost and 6 also badly destroyed. And worst of it all, Lucy Letby didn't even show up at her court hearing, and she never took responsibility for any of the things that she had done throughout her trial. So it was as though she's done it, but she really didn't give a damn about whatever she's done and how she's destroyed lives. Sometimes I feel that the punishments that are given to certain types of crimes, in as much as on paper it seems to suit it, this is a life sentence without possibility of parole. Yeah, but you know, on the emotional level, it's as though it could have still been worse. there should have still been a worse punishment than this, because she's still alive. She's still going to have a life in jail or in prison, but the lives of these babies are gone. So the families may get some form of closure, but it's still a walking reminder in Lucy Letby that this is the person who did it. And that's how come sometimes some people are almost in favor of lethal injection and then capital punishment on some of these things, because it's just too much. And you could see that the judge did his best. He actually referenced the fact that this crime involves the lives of newly born babies who are defenseless and whose lives have been taken by somebody who was supposed to take care of them. So this is what has happened. And crime does not expire. She started doing this since 2015 into 2016. Suspicions were raised, queries were raised of her. At a point, she was even suspended, and she contested the cases and won all the cases, to the point that even the hospital were asked to apologize to her. And this is where sometimes I have a problem with certain systems or certain bodies. There are instances where certain issues would come up, and instead of allowing the issue to be investigated deeply, instances are that certain authorities may just come in and treat the case as has occurred. But there are instances where what is being seen is just a symptom of something bigger yet to be discovered. And if, and only if, time had been allowed for further investigations, a bigger plot would have unfolded. And that is what played out eventually around 2018, when she was asked to go, and before she could be recalled, the hospital had now reported to the police, and then the police had started the investigation, through which they found what she had written on that note. And the note was treated as a confession. Initially, she was trying to downplay it, but eventually, the evidence stacked up against her, and she had no way of escaping it. So it's such a shame. And if you look at her parents, they came to the court, and if you look at them, you could see the disappointment on their face. This is where it gets heavy. Sometimes, or in most of our true crime coverages, we dwell mostly on the victims' families and how it has impacted them. But we sometimes fail to give credence to the fact that the families of the culprits also go through a lot, because you are going to be forever tagged with the crime that this family member of yours has committed. If you look at their parents, you look at the parents of Lucy Letby, the father especially, you can see the disappointment on his face. And I wonder how Lucy Letby sleeps at night, having to do these horrific things that she did, just so I don't even know why she did it. I don't even know why she did it. I wish she had been able to explain why she saw the need to do what she did. But I hope that she has a difficult time in prison every single day, every single time, to bring it as close as possible as an atonement for what she has committed. And it has also triggered a national conversation around the controls at various hospitals. And I think this is key. Irrespective of where you find yourself in the world, I think that it's very important that we all pay attention to this, especially if you find yourself in a situation where you are accompanying somebody to a hospital. Please keep an eye out, ask questions. There are great doctors and great nurses out there, but trust you me, there are some crazy ones amongst them too. This is not the first case of a nurse who turns out to be a serial killer. There are other versions of it playing out, just that most often their targets or their victims are not babies, as has occurred in this case of Lucy Letby. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Do you think the punishment fits the crime? Not to criticize the court or the judge, just to have a frank conversation about whether maybe consideration should be put to having stiffer punishments on issues like this. What do you think? What do you think was the reason why Lucy Letby would engage in crimes like this against vulnerable babies, like these babies whose lives were taken and destroyed? Leave your comments in the comment section. And like I've been saying, there are crazy people out there. And please keep an eye out and stay safe out there. We'll catch you next time.